There's so much violence that goes on in our city that people just seem to look over. But if we're going to be good citizens and if we're going to be practice good humanity, we need to care about the people.
To think that this is where I live, this is where my kids are being raised, and I'm doing everything right. And you mean to tell me that I can't go in my front yard with my kids? I can't sit on my porch and live? Just the thought of being shot and killed or just being harmed due to gun violence is scary.
For a lot of people who live in different areas, they may not understand the violence that goes on every single day. But in the city of Chicago, on the south sides and west side, violence is prevalent. It's almost like being in a war-torn country.
I have seen 5 and 6 years old saying snitches get stitches. Kids will not tell because they feel like they're gonna get in trouble or they're gonna get beat up or somebody's gonna do something to them, and we have to break that.
I live on the south side in the Woodlawn area. Violence is daily in my neighborhood. I would come across fights a lot. Growing up in the Woodlawn area, you will be able to hear gunshots a lot.
It's an experience that you don't want to ever have. These children can't walk to the stores. They can't go play on the playgrounds at the parks. There's always something going on as far as a violent act.
Raise your hand if you've lost a friend to gun violence. Raise both hands if you've lost more than one person to gun violence. How prevalent is violence in your neighborhood?
It happens every day, man.
Innocent people get their life took every day, so it ain't like they got a specific target. People just doing stuff to be doing.
One of the main reasons is poverty and the lack of role models and fathers. A lot of teenagers nowadays, they don't know what to do and they don't know what they want to do in the future. They don't have a goal for their life.
And nobody really going to school. School ain't an option for them.
Why is that?
It just, all they know is the streets.
And the streets give you fast money, so.
As we speak right now, somebody probably getting shot right now as we speak.
Everything feel like a dream, honestly. A big dream.
In every neighborhood, what do you see in the hood? You see liquor stores, you see everybody standing in the corner, doped out, nodding. It all intertwines together. No jobs, no funding for the schools, the drugs, the lack of these politicians making laws to keep these criminals behind bars.
My son is 15, and I can remember times telling him, you can't go down the street and play. I can remember telling him you can't go to the park without a parent because you're afraid that something could happen. Those are the type of things that should not be in any community.
My name is Levell Watkins. I'm 9 years old. Live in Chicago.
What kind of things do you like to do?
I like to play basketball and play my game. I hear it on the news how some people get shot. Sometimes I will hear
Hear what?
gunshots.
How would that make you feel?
Not very safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of abandoned buildings and businesses in the area, as you can see. I don't know if it's the economy, is it the violence, or is it just a combination of both? The 7th District is Englewood, pretty much. Everyone refers to as Englewood, where a lot of the shootings and the murders occur. But unfortunately, it's kind of the hub or center of a lot of the violence. And it spreads out and it plagues other districts. But then within those incidents, we have a good number of incidents where the victim happened to be driving by at the time when someone is shooting at a group or an individual, the target, and they're struck by a stray bullet. Our biggest hurdle is getting the information from witnesses. People have a hard time understanding that sometimes a person gets shot and he or she may know who did it or have a great description or even just an inclination of who, but they tell us nothing. They don't cooperate, so it makes it very difficult. These guys are out there and they're shooting, and if we have no leads on them or they know that witnesses won't cooperate, then they feel as that they can just act with impunity out here. We've had many cases where victims of the retaliatory shootings have no gang membership, no criminal history, no negative contact with the police, and it's just a matter of a quick retaliation shooting. They're shooting at a territory. They're shooting at people who are in a territory without confirming that they are actually gang members or involved in the first shooting at all. The narcotic problem contributes to the violence because it's a business, right? Just like any other business. And the competitors want to monopolize the business. And how do they do so in the drug trade? By controlling the turfs. We have a lot of problems with the Latin Kings, the Satan Disciples, the 2-6, La Raza. The gangster disciples are splintered off. There's so many different factions, and they no longer, like the older gangs back in the 70s or 80s, recognize a structure or hierarchy within the gang. So what they're doing is they're just like their own renegade little gang, still keeping the name Gangster Disciples, but they'll fight with other factions of the Gangster Disciples.
I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old son. There's a mom up north, good neighborhood. This mother can literally leave her children in her front yard playing. Do you think she's gonna feel fearful of leaving her 2 kids in her front yard? No. But I dare not leave my 9-year-old son in the front yard to play.
I'll say kids start joining gangs around 13, 14. I have friends that are in gangs, a couple of them, and I hang around them, but I kind of, section myself off away from them sometimes because I don't want to give that outlook that I am in a gang, and then it puts the target on my back.
You have parents and you have families that are experiencing violence all the time. And there's nothing more heart-wrenching to have to sit down with a parent or a family member whose son or daughter or niece or nephew, a child, their life was taken prematurely. There's no adequate way to describe the pain and the anguish that family member feels.
I really don't call them gangbangers. I don't call them gangbangers, I call them terrorists. And that's what they are. They put fear in people where we cannot do what we want to. We can't go out our homes. Our kids can't go to the playground. We can't even go to the corner store. So what does that say? That they are terrorists too. And we need to treat them according to the same guidelines as terrorists. Let's do that.
Lots of times in the city of Chicago, people open the paper and they read a victim that was shot, a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and to a lot of people, they're nameless. But to me, a lot of these individuals are known. There's the baby named Janila, who was 6 months old, who was shot and killed, devastated by a bullet. There's Kayvon, who was just shot, a 3-year-old in the face. These names of individuals are people, and they have families, and they have dreams and aspirations that sometimes are taken away far too early.
What's more unfortunate is like this young kid on a bike here, You see, maybe he's just going out for a bike ride, but somebody may suspect him for a rival gang member just because of where he's at. If they have a beef or if they have a shooting to retaliate against, right? He might be your next victim. A couple years ago, we had a 14-year-old girl shoot and kill another 14-year-old girl. It made national news. Bullying, disrespecting each other, a boy. The offenders were from further southeast, and this girl lived right here. And the story went that the gun was given to her by her uncle and her aunt to use in the shooting. 14-year-old girls, so babies, right? Could it have been prevented? I think so. First of all, if the uncle and the aunt wouldn't have given her the gun, we wouldn't have a 14-year-old girl shooting and killing another 14-year-old girl. It's a learned behavior, and it's a learned attitude. The younger generation are saying, well, if he can do it and get away with it, why can't I?
one passed last year. His name is Jaquante Riles. And I have one that just passed recently. Her name is Decayla Dansberry. Jaquante, he got shot walking to the store late at night, kinda. And he moved away, and his mom wanted to move back. And like a week or two after she moved back, he walked to the store one night with his friends, and he was shot in the chest. Decayla, she passed away by being stabbed because her friends were fighting, and she wanted to help out her friends, so she was just the one that got stabbed out of all of them. And I mean, you just grow up knowing that you lost one of your closest friends.
Another family that was devastated by violence, their son, Carlton Archer, he was shot and killed, a 16-year-old, walking from school, and was shot in the back of their home, and he was found in the back of the garage, shot dead in the alley. And we promised them that we were going to have their funeral here at the church and that it was going to be a peaceful event. And little did I know that when kids came from the other area that they would be shot at, that event kind of spurred me to say, you know, for the rest of my life in this neighborhood, as long as God has me here, I'm going to try to do something to make sure that I get rid of the violence, the gun violence.
We had a double homicide in this gas station earlier in the year. A young lady and a young man, neither from the area, happened to be driving by, and he stopped at the gas station. A white vehicle comes by, fenders exited, started shooting at the car, killing both occupants. Nice summer evening, about 7 o'clock at night. He had about 20 to 25 people playing basketball on his basketball court, and shots were rang out, and 13 people were shot at one time, including a young child.
She was fun. Sometimes her friends would come over, and then we were watching movies, and my mom would make cookies, and then they would send me to go sneak and get some cookies, and then we would eat them. She taught me how to read by sounding out the letters and reading the words and learning different words.
Her smile lit up any room. She was a college student, 19 years old, studying to become a pediatrician. And I started telling her, like, I love you, I don't want nothing to happen to you. And, you know, you don't have to be doing anything. Trouble can find you. Maybe a week or two later, she was in the car. She wasn't doing anything, and trouble found her. On June 25th, she was in a car. It was my daughter and 4 other people. And from my understanding, the young man was hollering out the window or saying something to someone out the window before they picked up my daughter and the young lady that my daughter was with. And when they got to the stoplight on 73rd and King Drive, that person came and he shot up the car, and everybody in the car got shot. He's breathing. He's free to do it again. Free to do it again. The people that was in the car with my daughter, they won't help. Her life was taken. And if she was your friend, how could you not speak up for her? They would not come to look at a lineup. They would not come to look at pictures or any of that. And, you know, I can't understand this. And I spoke to the young lady and I asked her, like, why aren't you helping me? What if it was you? How would your family feel? It was a person actually with her, a male. I don't know if he was intoxicated or what, but his response, and I was not talking to him, his response was, I'm locked and I'm loaded. All you gotta do is say okay. If she would have said okay, what would he have done to me? Would he have shot me? I lost my mind. I had a breakdown. My body went into shock.
The most senseless shooting that I've ever experienced was a baby named Janila. She was with her father in a minivan. The minivan was parked, and while he was trying to change her diaper, a shooter came through and shot up the car. He was the intended victim, but in the process of trying to kill him, he shot the baby. For a few days, that baby lived, and having to go to the hospital day after day and sit with the parents and see the devastation of a bullet going through that baby's body. To this day, I hate to even think about it, because that is something that no one should ever have to see and no one should ever have to experience.
I want the politicians, I want the lawmakers, I want the mayor of this city. Stay in Inglewood. Come on, let's have a sleepover. Let's have a camp out. Let's do some things in Inglewood. Y'all just come on, stay. Stay a day or two. Matter of fact, stay a week. Just to see what goes on, just to see the gun violence. We want the same treatment everywhere.
So we have to do better, and we have to figure out ways and come up with solutions so that everyone can be involved, whether you live in the suburbs or downtown. You have to get involved in making sure that we come up with solutions for everyone to solve the issues that plague our communities every single day.
You have to look at economics, education, giving programs, fixing up the neighborhoods, giving the kids something to do, something to look forward to. Because if they don't have nothing to look forward to, they're just a lost cause. They feel like nobody cares about them.
When you have areas that are economically deprived and there are an inadequate amount of jobs, especially for young African American males to take care of themselves and to take care of their families, they're going to result to doing something that's going to endanger a lot of people. Then you couple that with the fact that you have a poor educational system where you have young black men who are dropping out of the school system way too early, and they get to 9th grade sometimes and they're reading at a 4th grade level. That is a situation that we have to deal with as well.
They're cutting the programs in the schools for the kids, the after school programs, things like that. Give our children something to do.
At the end of the day, we're gonna have to create jobs. Somehow, some way, we've got to make the economic situation for young African Americans on the south side and west sides of Chicago and Latinos, we got to figure out ways to economically make things better.
I think they should be able to go out and have fun and play without staying in the house and thinking something's going to happen. I think nobody should have to live somewhere where people get shot and they can hear gunshots.
First, I think the older people in gangs have to change because the younger kids look up. So once they see that they're changing, they see that, oh, we need to change because it's not as cool anymore because, you know, the old head's changing. Teenagers don't really have an influence in their life to teach them the right thing to do. So they, you know, look to uncles and cousins and they see that they're doing it, so they just want to fit in and be cool because they don't know the right thing to do, which teaches them that, you know, that life is all right.
It would be really helpful to have mentors to come alongside and help some of these single parents where there's absent fathers.
You have to instill morals and values in your children. If you see your friends with some guns or talking about going to do something, get away, run, get away from them. Whose child has to get killed before somebody steps up and say, hey, you know what? Enough is enough. We need mentors in the schools. We need programs. We need somewhere that these kids can go.
People have to come together, and I think we've been so divided on race, and that we see gun violence as just a black issue. And as a consequence, sometimes people feel like there's nothing that they can do or they don't know what to do. But there's a lot that can be done. And we need to challenge everyone to get involved, especially with mentoring young African American males who desperately need it. It is so important. And I think showing people a different alternative, giving them options is extremely important as well. And if we can do that, if we can somehow provide mentors and options and alternatives, I just believe that things can get better.
A lot of it is influence when these kids are out here. They want to be like the other kids. Oh, you getting fast money. We have to teach our children not to be easily influenced. If somebody telling you something that you know not right, that'll end up with you being killed or in jail, that's not your friend.
I see like how my dad, Pastor Brooks, how he's, you know, a role model over, you know, young kids in Parkway. And, you know, I can see that they change and they want something for their life. And not just, you know, they want to get out of Parkway instead of living in Parkway their whole life. And I see how he influences them. So I think if we get role models, positive role models in every other area, then the violence will stop.
We want to go far, like far away, try to find something to do with our life.
Pastor Brooke, he tries to like the Project Hood operation. Like now he making a basketball court. So he try to keep everybody busy. He gives out the opportunities
no matter the age.
that people don't give. He give out opportunities. He give people chances.
My daughter was shot on 73rd and King Drive, not too far from where Cory Brooks New Beginning Church is on 60, I think it's 66. And he was like, you know, you never came back down here to talk to me, you know, what's going on, how's everything been going? And he had made this message for a $10,000 reward to catch the person that killed my daughter. And I was like, God, thank you.
If we can get a community center in this area that's needed, we can then start to talk to families and deal with families and provide them things that they don't have, like trying to show them how to start a business, give them some entrepreneurial skills, try to teach them parenting skills, have counseling available, have activities available that are in safe places. And so the community center becomes a hub, it becomes a place where people can gather and come up with creative ideas.
All kids should be able to play without not thinking something's gonna happen to them, and they can have fun and do whatever they want to without like having to be scared of gun violence or getting shot or killed.
I know that I have something to live for, so whatever I do in my life, I just need to do that by knowing I can die anytime.
I think the biggest thing about solving violence is that we don't have enough collaboration with people who have different backgrounds. We are so divided, and until we come together as a country, as a nation, as citizens, we're never going to solve the issue of this day. I tell people it doesn't matter whether you're black or white or Hispanic, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. We're Americans, and these issues have an impact on all of us.
From between Central Park all the way to Woodlawn, from 47th Street to 67th to Marquette. So in that little polygon, there's been 47 murders this year alone. The majority of them are gang related. Victims are gang members, documented gang members. But out of the 47, we have 19 that weren't. And all the murders are tragic, right? And I wish we could have none. But when we look at the 19 murders that have no gang affiliation, there's a good chance that many of them have no criminal history.
Where are they getting it from? Where? The ammunition, the guns, I mean, and these are M16 rifles and automatic guns and pistols. Where? You have 13-year-old children having guns.
I think it should stop because everybody needs to live without thinking something's gonna happen, and they should try their best to stop it.
How do you think they can stop it?
Get the guns off the street.
Shootings affect the whole neighborhood because bullets have no name on them, so it can hit a baby, they can hit an old lady, you know, it can just hit anybody. So like it'll affect the family, it affects like the area, and it makes everybody, scared to go outside, and it's hard for them to live their life when they know like they have people going around shooting.
The majority of these guns out here are illegal. I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you where they're getting them specifically. I know a lot of them are purchased by straw purchasers, and a lot of them are stolen. Legitimate people are buying guns for protection, right? But then their homes are being broken into, and their weapons are being stolen. So there's a variety of avenues that they use to obtain weapons, and unfortunately, they're ending up in the hands of young and criminals, gang members, and resulting in violence.
The street don't love you. Only thing the street gonna give you is two things: judged by 12 or carried by 6.
Gangs can only lead you to two places, which are in jail or in a cemetery, and it's not worth it. You have more to live for in life, and it's not worth to join a gang and throw your life away.
Somewhere along in their life, somebody didn't care enough to tell them they love them. Somebody didn't care enough to hug them, to show them, to keep them on track when they was falling on track, to put them back on track and tell them, this is not what you do. This is not how you act. They need hugs, and they need to be told that they love. They're loved every morning, every day, throughout the day. When that aspect of their lives is missing, they search for love in other places, because that's what's missing. Love.
And it's not just a gang issue, it's a taxpayer issue. When these young individuals shoot someone, hospital costs, ambulance costs, prison costs, all of these costs add up. And when you start adding all those costs up, it is very significant. So to handle the problem and deal with the problem of gun violence is not just a community issue, it's a national issue. And until we start to understand that, we're going to continue to miss it every single time.
Once we stand up and get that no snitch call out the way, a lot of this will change. A lot of the violence will change if people will just stand up and do the right thing. Have more respect for life.